please join us for the pledge? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, welcome. This is the general business meeting for the Broadwater County Commission. And before we get started, we have just a couple of ground rules. This is a public meeting. It is recorded and on YouTube, so please state your full name for any public comment. We follow Robert's Rules of Order. The purpose of this policy is to open all Broadwater County public meetings to all county citizens. We realize we have a fiscal and fiduciary responsibility to conduct county business as efficiently as possible for all residents. Commission meetings are recorded, so again, please state your full name. Any separate conversations need to be removed outside. Outbursts will not be tolerated. Public comment will give each person an initial 3 minutes who wishes to speak. All comments should be directed to the board chair. And before we get started, Mr. Wright, who is your escort today under the Broadwater County policy? Okay, all right. So the first order of business then, so that we can actually do some county business.
Laura, you asked me a
is-
question. Can I respond to what you just said? I know, but I have another response.
We'll have public comment in just a minute, John.
Okay, thank you.
So the first thing we need to do so that we can conduct this meeting and get to county business is elect a presiding chair. It is a matter of law, 742109, presiding officer of the board that we elect. A presiding officer is also a matter in the directory for elected officials for the state, Mako newsletter, and then we also have an open door policy and a public meeting policy that state the same. So Franklin, any thoughts on that?
No, I don't have
Okay. We do need to elect a chair. It actually does fall to you. There's a rotation we have followed for years. This was your year as chairman. You quit it halfway in between, and Elaine took it as the next in line. Elaine is not here today. She's extremely ill, so we actually need a chairman. So it is up to you to make the motion to go ahead and follow that rotation and get a chairman. You want to say?
I'm not calling it a rotation. I resigned, I had good reasons, and I'm sticking with those. I think everybody knows what they were. They were in the paper. That's it. You're vice chairman, I guess, you can take over as chairman.
I wasn't actually elected vice chairman. I've been filling that role in the interim with Elaine being ill by mutual consent of the commission. As it is a new year and the law states we shall elect a presiding officer, we need to elect a presiding officer. I understand that you quit. That's fine, but we do need to go ahead and elect one. That leaves me. So are you going to make that nomination?
For you to be chairman?
Mm-hmm.
Fine with me.
Is that a motion?
Yep.
Okay, I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to elect me as chair of the commission for 2016. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. All right, motion carries. Aye. All right, so moving on, public comment. John, I understand you had something you wanted to say.
Yes, I would like for you to explain to everybody and the camera what you really mean by Robert's Rules of Procedures. You call it the order. Would you explain to us and all of the citizens of this county what that really means? And where the law comes from?
Robert's Rules of Order is common practice in the state for county governments to conduct business. It's a way of keeping civility in the meetings.
You haven't answered the question.
Okay,
What
thank you,
kind of
John.
law, where's the law that supports all of this? What is the form of law?
I'm going to let you actually talk to the county attorney about that one. So, any other public comment? When?
Corey's gone, and he's got people acting in his behalf on different levels, and I don't know if this is just a mutual aid type request or not.
Okay.
But Luke Berger is gonna be dealing with our involuntary commits on Lewis and Clark. So if we have one, I don't know if we're gonna end up with some sort of bill in the outside of that or not. And then, for legal advice, he said to go to, Brian Hopkins or Harold Blatty, in regards to those things for local issues. And then, if we had something from the criminal aspect, he directed us to go to Mary Cogan, our AG's office. So I just want to let you guys know, these are where we're at. I don't know if there's a fiscal note attached to any of it, or just a mutual aid request type thing. So I just want to give you guys a heads up on that. So that's all I have in regards to that.
All right, thank you. Hey, can we get that list in writing too?
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, thanks. All right.
I can forward that to you as well.
Oh,
I
perfect.
sent you a memo and an email.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, Craig Burns. Actually, I was concerned about the video quality and the audio streaming online. It's pretty, you can't hear it, you can't understand what's being talked about, as well as I think it's kind of inappropriate for conversations with the government kind of happening at the newspaper level, so that citizens are kind of hearing what's going on in the newspaper instead of kind of directly. So that really is really emphasizing on that video in modern times that everybody who is not able to make these meetings that are an awkward time at 10 o'clock on seemingly random days sometimes. I guess every Monday, but I suppose there's another one here on Wednesday. And so it makes it very difficult for working men and women around the community to be involved in the government. And as Mr. Swanson has said in his 4th goal in the newspaper, I think it's important that there's more community involvement right now. This is an election year, so there is going to be a ramp up in public awareness in general as presidential election goes crazy. So I think it would be something that this chair or this board should consider is actually putting some money toward audio feed of these meetings and kind of catching up with modern times. I know that the court in the back there has a mic just for the, so when you're talking, and it's pretty legible. You can hear it clearly for recording purposes. So I think that's something that this board should really consider, and I think that would clear up some of the miscommunications that are going on instead of everybody kind of not knowing what's going on and having to read it through the paper and talk to each other about it. And that way we can kind of facilitate this meeting rather than it just be kind of a formality rather than, it's kind of formality right now rather than actually productive, it seems like to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as you stated, Dave, we'll have what's called a New Year's resolutions. There's a resolution coming up that sets what days we have meetings and time. So thank you for that. There
Right.
are microphones we can give. We will be looking into that too.
If all members of the government talking could be mic'd, that would really be helpful rather than just kind of an echoey, you just really can't hear anything. So unless you attend the meeting mid-morning on Mondays, which everyone's usually working, I don't think anybody is able to know what's going on here except for hearsay.
Okay, thank you very much for that. That's good feedback. All right, anyone else? Mike?
Yeah, I'm Mike Stevenson. I agree with my friend here. I think, it's nice to be able to hear what's going on. And I'm here to let you know that the mental health has 11 clients and doing about 7 therapy sessions, 6 case managements. I had sent you guys an email kind of requesting what we're doing with the crisis intervention jail deferment grant, if we're going to turn the money back or if we're not. In that email that I sent you, I've talked to MSU, to a professor there. I've talked to the lady that's doing what she calls mining information for Lewis and Clark County. And honestly, it's good either way with me. Whatever you guys want to do, it's up to you. I do think we need to get some information to find out what the needs in this community are. And what I'm seeing more and more is it may end up being transportation, and it may end up us on a state level supporting smaller crisis units, because Warm Springs is totally overwhelmed. I'm gonna venture out a little bit. Even a lifetime in government cannot prepare you for every curveball the political world will pitch. To be ready for the challenges, you should have vision of what this county's future is, keep an open mind, maintain high ethical standards, know the issues, know your constituents and the people who you will be working with. Focus on what is best for our county, be honest with the public, the media, and other officials, have confidence in your qualifications, and to be able to separate our emotions from some of the things that go on so that we can responsibly carry out duties as commissioners. And I think that's what I would really love to see you guys do. Appreciate everything you have done in the last year.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Dana, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, today's my normal meeting day. I'm not on the agenda. I've got some stuff to do this morning. I see you're full, so can I come back this afternoon?
Yeah, either when we're done or at 1:30, or would next week work for you?
Well, I'd rather come today.
Okay, all right.
So I got some stuff to do, so I'll just come back this afternoon or something.
That sounds
What
good.
time?
We can go ahead. We have, we can change the agenda. The items are subject to change at any time. Get the language for you. Items for, these items and times are subject to change. So, yeah, we'll, just put you in at 1:30. How's that?
Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay,
All right, thanks.
thanks, Dan.
Thank you. If I can, I don't know if you saw the article in Missoulian this morning, or Billings Gazette. Missoula County's looking at a general version as well in regards to 24/7. Obviously overpopulation and things of that nature, but with a nexus to the mental health aspect. I know part of the discussions in regards to that, jail diversion and crisis intervention has been part of that as well. And I think that in relation to what Mike's saying is we have a lot of coexisting substance abuse with the mental health aspect. And I think that's kind of where, I think we need to, those should be some conversations we have, is how do we deal with the coexistence? Because if we get them off the regular drugs and get them on what they're supposed to be on, meth isn't doing them any good. So if we can change that somehow, and just so I did have a conversation with Mike last week in regards to some sort of lock-in center or crisis intervention type before it goes into crisis. And then so that's kind of, I think there's lots of conversations that need to take place in regards to how we deal with the mental health crisis and getting the people in this community the assistance that they deserve. So, it might be something further down the line we'll put on an agenda, or just have a business meeting of some nature. But those should be some conversation points that we should have. So, just want to throw it out there.
Thank you.
Okay?
Now, we have the jail diversion grant that we got awarded, August-ish? Are you and Corey, did you talk any further? Are you willing to take the lead on that? We got the grant. We have to have phase 1 in order to move to phase 2. You have to target what the problems are before you can start throwing solutions at them. Because we don't know what the problems are to target what those solutions are. Are you guys willing to do that?
I think, if I remember correctly from the million conversations we had last week about everything in the world, I think that we had an idea on how we could probably get going. It's going to be tasking, to say the least, but I think it's something that we have to look at. And we have the 24/7, we're using the Scram, we're using those things, but a lot of the folks we're holding right now, which is very tough as well, is out of 46 people inside that jail right now, probably 40 of them belong to somebody else. So that obviously makes things a little more difficult because we can't control what they do. We can control the ones that we deal with on the local level, but we can't deal with the holds. So I think it's going to just take basically some data put together on what the issues are and with what group. If you're going to prison, you're going to prison. There's not much anybody's going to do for you there. So you're going to get your services on the inside. So there's quite a lot to that umbrella of jail diversion and mental something we have to deal with, and you're gonna have to get in the forefront of it, one way or the other, because it is becoming a problem. Pretty sure this shooting over the weekend at Livingston was death by cop, pretty sure the way it reads. So there's obviously issues that we're dealing with on a more rapid level, and I can get in the forefront of it instead of being behind it, so we'll get together.
Okay, and Mike with the LAC already has some parallel work going on. You know, he,
We had a
I'm
good talk
sure-
about an hour's
good.
worth, yeah.
all right. So
I-
if we don't accept that grant, we're gonna lose it. So we need to have, you know, the commitment from you guys, that that's the way you wanna go. If you wanna go some other direction or use some other, you know, resource, that's fine, just let us know.
And I think right now, really just having the information, I mean, that's the thing, is we're kind of throwing darts at a wall, trying to hit something that makes it work, and I think if we can get the intel and funnel it down into something workable, and goals and objectives and everything else, I think we can get a good product for the community. And it's just gonna take a lot of working hands getting that together, and some cooperation on all facets there. So I don't think it's impossible, it's just gonna be work, so, but I think it's important work, so.
All right. Thank you.
I
Sounds
just
good, Mike?
wanted to say I appreciated Officer Wynn's time, and I've talked with the county attorney. You know, we have really good people, and I liked what Corey said in the paper. You know, we need to get people involved, pull together, work together.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Again, Craig Burns. Actually, I wanted to follow up with what he was saying, just with the darts on the wall. I was curious when the last county census was done, and if that we do have a good view of how many citizens are here, how many have left. I've seen at least 3 to 4 foreclosures in the paper, probably every week for the last 3-4 months. I mean, that's a family every time, and you know, I'm not sure if we know who's coming and going, you know, out of this area. And that said, even if the census was done 2 years ago, I can't see it being accurate enough to be accepting, you know, grants and allocating resources to population sizes that we don't really know what we're up against. So, you know, if we don't know how many people are actually in Broadwater County, how do we know what the percentage of those people are mental health or having, you know, legal problems? And I don't know when the last census was done, but I think it should be something that should be reviewed as important data in order to kind of get the government lined up with itself and the people.
Thank you. The official census is every 10 years, the 0 years. And then ESRI and the Department of Commerce, if I'm not mistaken, do an annual census, kind of keeping up. Where our population, there's about a year lagging indicator, but our population is 6,016 as of the last census, which was last year, the last update. We get a full report. I'd be more than happy, if you want to leave your email or address, I'd be more than happy to send you the latest report we got. It's on housing, population, median income, projections, and something else I'm missing. So, yeah, if you just drop your email or your snail mail off, we'll go ahead and get that for you.
Fantastic,
If you want.
thank you.
Yeah, we're growing consistently at about 1.4% on average every year. So, John, another comment?
Yes, Laura, in a comment pop, and I just talked to Dana out in the hall, and he referred me back to the commission, that on the properties up on Indian Creek, which you all know where we live and where it covers, the 2 basic claims and what have you, all in one deed, the road has been abandoned due to placer operations in 1941. Douglas Placer. There was a road petition that was finalized December 1st, 1942. By all 3 commissioners agreed to abandon the roads on Indian Creek properties, 4611 and 5070. And the entirety, from link to link. And part of it was done here a few years back. Dana handled it. around my house. Now, the other properties have not been anything done to it. I'm being currently taxed for this property. And also, it's no right-of-ways, it's only an access road. And they were illegally put in by the county during the early 50s without consent or permission, just like the area that was moved. Now, I'd like to have this addressed, and I've even pioneered a road where the county can move the road on the end of the property very much more economically. I did that some time ago with a bulldozer. But now the issue is coming before, and it will be brought before you. And I would like for you to set up where I have at least some time, 30 minutes or whatever you can allot me, to present this document, which is recorded, and Doug Ellis knows all about it. And this is going to be an issue that there's nothing going to happen until spring. But then it will happen when things clear up because of two reasons. One is my property has been attached and taken by the county illegally. And there's precedence is already set because it's been removed on a large portion of it. But still about 22% of the property is being covered by county road. Okay? Now, part of it can't be changed. And I wouldn't insert on something that can't be done. That's at the Raidersburg cutoff. Because you've got to have access to go to where you need to go. The cattlemen and the people that live in Raidersburg want to go down through it, as well as myself, especially during hunting season. But this is something that I want to have addressed, and I want the full knowledge brought up good, and I want you to pull a copy of this petition, which, like I say, Doug knows all about it. This is the only copy I got right now, or I would give you this one. And I'd like for it to be addressed. I'd like for it to be brought as soon as possible before the commission, with time allotted to address it, like we did way back when it was moved before, when I think it was the early 2000s. Anyway, Dana was the crew chief then. So if you would address that and not consider, but I trust you to do it so we can get it done and have plenty of time to get it worked out between now and spring. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment? Public comment? Joan?
When the sheriff speaks, have him speak a little loud.
Yes, ma'am.
Explainer.
Notorious for that.
Don't be so hard to bat.
All right, last call for public comment. All right. Montana Minute. Franklin, you have anything good to say about our community?
Well, I think everything went good through the holidays. Wind's nodding head, so I guess all the way around is pretty good.
All right. I was reflecting this morning on some of the things that we did in 2015 for the community. We got quite a few really good things done, and I left my my list at home. But I just wanted to thank all of you for coming to the meetings, for being a part of this community, and for all the good work that you all did in 2015 to actually make our community what it is. So I guess my thanks is to the citizens of Brockwater County. So, Commissioners' Community Update. Franklin, anything to add?
I didn't attend any meetings.
All right, last week was a pretty slow week due to the holidays. So, we will move on. Used to be a clock right above your heads, and there isn't one. All right, so 10:15, public hearing. We will go ahead and close this general public meeting and open a public hearing to adopt 4 resolutions to establish regular meeting dates, set per diem rates, salary resolution, and establish hours of operation. So the first one is to establish regular meeting dates. This resolution, all of these resolutions have been in both the clerk and recorder's office and the county commissioner's office for anyone to look at. The advertising has run for 2 weeks. This first one is for establishing our meeting days as every Monday, except in the case of a holiday, to begin at 10 o'clock. In the case of a holiday, we will meet on Tuesdays and every Wednesday as needed. Anytime we are unable to post, advertise in the legal section of the newspaper, we will post in 3 public places. Those will be the bulletin board at the U.S. Post Office, Broadwater County School Library Bulletin Board, or the first floor and basement floors of the Broadwater County Courthouse on the bulletin board. The meetings will follow Robert's Rules of Order, the Broadwater County Open Meeting Policy, and the Broadwater County Public Process Policy. Commission may continue an item on the agenda, will provide adequate notice for these matters that by statute require specific types of notice. Commissioners will provide reasonable time for any person to submit data or comments in writing or orally prior to any action being taken. The Commission may limit oral comment, and persons wishing to submit data are encouraged to do so in writing in order to more fully express their ideas. No one will be limited on their oral comment except for by time constraints. All meetings of the County Commission are open to the public unless closed as provided by statute. And notice will be given of routine matters or impromptu decisions with county employees, vendors, or other citizens. So, any public comment on that resolution? This is something we do every year, and it's required by law. John?
Well, I still have a question going back to Robert's Rules. Why don't we use the constitutional law that 60% of our voters in this county are mandated to do? And that's the constitutional law, number 1, not state statutory constitution, which is number 10. Now, I'm baffled, and I have been for some time, why this constitutional county, fully implemented by the voters, over 60%, is not being adhered to and followed that instead of parliamentary law, which is Robert's Rules of Law. It's parliamentary, it's British law. I know it, and you know it. And you should have said it when I asked it. Why are we using a foreign law to regulate our county when we have a good one? I don't understand that, and I don't think most of the people in our county understand it. I know you do understand it, because you're pretty up on legs. So why, would you answer the question, why we don't use the law that's laid down for us by the majority of the voters, the
Thank you, John.
constitutional form of government?
All right, thank you. That has been answered.
No,
So,
it hasn't.
any other comments on that particular resolution? Public comment? All right, the second resolution is a resolution to establish mileage, lodging, and per diem rates for Broadwater County business travel. We follow the state on this, so that's pretty self-explanatory. The state sets mileage rates, meal rates, and room rates. We do have a personnel policy handbook that allows for our employees to follow those as well. So any public comment on that? Public comment? Okay. The next one is the salary resolution. This is just an update from the resolution that was done with the budget, and the only change is changing the commissioners from to 4/5 time. We are part-time, and our base pay is the same as all elected officials by statute, and our allotment is also by statute. So, any questions on that? Public comment? John?
What is actually in hours does this mean that the commissioners are allowed to file legally?
We are allowed to work 32 hours a week.
Okay, and that's also mandated by some of the insurance coverage, isn't it?
No, that was actually set in January with, well, I guess, yes it is, by extension it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. All right, the last one is a resolution establishing hours of operation for Broadwater County offices. And this sets an office hours for the commissioners. Aside from just our meeting, we do have an office downstairs. The health department, the sheriff's office, treasurer, clerk and recorder, elections and superintendent of schools office, and all other departments. Basically, we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with very few exceptions, and not open on legal holidays. Any public comment or questions on that? Hello, come on in, Bob. Thank you. So any public comment on that? All right. Franklin, if you don't have anything to add, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. All right. Public hearing is closed. And Bob, do you care to have the floor? I'd be more than happy to read Elaine's letter. Okay. This is from Commissioner Elaine Gravely, and I want you to know that it's with a heavy heart that I read this letter. Elaine has been no less than a hero, I've said that many times, in what she has given this county over the last 3 years. And I hope that each and every one of you will send you her love, your thoughts, your positive feelings. So, January 1, 2016, dear citizens of Broadwater County and Broadwater County Commission. I have had the absolute pleasure of serving Broadwater County in several different roles over the years. I served as Broadwater Fair Manager for numerous years, during which time we were successful in joining the annual fair and rodeo into one fun-filled weekend. I served as Broadwater Clerk and Recorder Treasurer for 14 years, and most recently I have served as Broadwater County Commissioner for over 8 years. I have thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity to serve the people of Broadwater County during this time. Broadwater County holds a very special place in my heart, as this is my home, and I have always wanted only the best for the people of the county. It is with great sadness that I feel I must resign my position as Broadwater County Commissioner. My health has steadily declined in the past year, which has made it difficult to serve the citizens of the county in the manner I feel necessary. Another factor in my decision to retire is the forced enrollment in the county health insurance plan. I'm already well covered with an insurance policy of my choosing and not in need of additional coverage. Yet I am being forced to enroll in the county plan. In addition, if I were to enroll in the county plan, I would then be without any coverage upon my resignation. My resignation will be effective on Monday, January 4, 2016. I wish all the citizens of Broadwater County the very best. Sincerely, Elaine Gravely. So, again, please send Elaine all your love, your positive thoughts, and please thank her for what she's given to this county. I can't think of another person who's given up as much as she has, and I can't think of anyone who's performed in a role of a bigger hero than she has. So, any comments? Anyone? All right. Thank you so much, Bob. Appreciate it. And please tell Elaine how much we love her. John,
A very simple one. What is the next procedures for us to obtain another commissioner? Would you inform us?
Yeah. There'll be, just like with the sheriff's office, so it'll be the same process. We will advertise the position. It is open to anyone who has lived in Elaine's district over the last 2 years, who is of 18 years of age, and who is, well, that's it, lived in the district in 18 years. They will bring forward a letter of interest and resume. They will be interviewed in a public process. We have a memo for the sheriff's office, so that's just what I'm going by memory on. And then it will be up to, we have a succession policy where every elected official will be involved and will give their opinions on who's the best qualified, and the ultimate decision will be up to Franklin and I.
And the citizens will be kept informed by what means? By through the media or?
YouTube videos, hopefully we'll be getting a audio microphone shortly, but also through the newspaper. We'll certainly be working with that, Ernie's listserv, the community website. So every means we can.
The young man right back here about the YouTube, I have a hearing problem and a vision problem, and it's about as worthless to me as that chair over there, trying to figure out what you guys are doing here. And I wished you would improve that immediately, if you would.
Thank you very much. All right, so,
Madam,
yes, sir.
is there an intern for that position?
No,
No, so
there's
it will-
nothing in
You
the
will remain
law.
unfilled until.
Yeah, yeah. Any further questions on this? Okay, all right. Back to you, Aaron. Okay, so 10:30. Decision to adopt the 4 resolutions to establish regular meeting dates, set per diem rate, salary resolution, or establish hours of operation. So on the first resolution, Franklin, what say you?
That's on the meeting dates.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree with that.
All right, will you make a motion to approve said resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve that said resolution. What's the number of them yet?
We don't have one yet. The motion has been made, and I will second it, and seconded to approve a resolution establishing hours of operation for Broadwater County offices. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Start at the bottom here. A resolution to establish regular meeting dates of the Broadwater County Commission. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Yeah.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, the second resolution is a resolution to establish mileage, lodging, and per diem rates for Broadwater County business travel. What say you, Franklin?
I'll make a motion to accept the mileage per diem as stated in the resolution.
I second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to adopt a resolution to establish mileage, lodging, and per diem rates for Broadwater County business travel. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Okay, the third resolution is an update to the elected official salary. What say you, Franklin?
We've never had that resolution before.
Yes, we have.
No, we haven't. So we've always had just the 3 resolutions since I've been here.
No, this was asked by Corey, that we update the salary resolution. What say you?
I'm not.
Okay, as it's a 2-person commission, the status quo stands, so I will move that we adopt the resolution stating the elected official salary in the interest of transparency and letting the citizens know. Will you second the motion?
No.
Okay, it dies without a second. All right, the third resolution is a resolution establishing hours of operation for Broadwater County offices. What say you, Franklin?
I'll make a motion to accept the hours as per that resolution.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to adopt a resolution establishing hours of operation for Broadwater County offices. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Okay, we have a few minutes before our next appointments. We'll go ahead and do some commissioner mail. First thing we should be doing is the minutes. Minutes are mailed out the week before. Immediately after the meeting, we have December 23 and December 28th. They are taken by the clerk and recorder's office so that there is a third party. And all suggested edits go through that department. What say you on those minutes, Franklin?
I move to accept the 28 minutes.
And December 23rd,
I believe I already voted against that.
they haven't been brought up for vote. Or have they been?
No.
Okay, this is the first time they've been presented in a meeting, Franklin.
I thought they were last time. Well,
December 21st.
I gotta look those over again, I'll go that one here,
Is that a motion?
on the December 28th.
Is that a motion to approve?
Yes.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of December 28th. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. All right, I will need those minutes back, Franklin, and we can get you a copy if you want to table that till next week. Is that your thinking?
That's right on me then.
Do you want to keep them till the end of the meeting this morning?
They're sitting right there, whichever way you want to go.
Okay, I'm gonna give them back to Ann so that they're not misplaced. We have a postcard that was sent to us by the Bureau of Reclamation. Bidding opportunity for concessionaire at Goose Bay Marina. BOR is looking for someone to manage the Goose Bay campground and all the facilities out there, and this is an advertising package. We have a letter from DEQ, and this is before the Board of Environmental Review. There are a number of arm changes and public comment. Let's see. So if you, there will be a public hearing, and if you want to let them know by January 5th, tomorrow, of the nature of accommodation you need in order to give that public comment, you can certainly contact them. This will be in the Commissioner's office. Public comment's coming up here in just a couple of weeks. You're more than welcome to come down and get copies if you so choose. And this is another letter of the same general information. We also have Newsline, which is a newsletter from the Montana Department of Transportation. That's also in the Commission's office for anyone who wishes to review those.
This is for procedural rules of water quality for public water supply and sewage system requirements. That's what those are.
And those are arm changes, yes. Okay, and we also have claims in the amount of $56,461.85. These are the approved claims from last week.
I move we pay the claims in amounts stated.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to pay the approved claims in the amount of $56,461.85. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. That's all the mail, just in time for our appointment at 10:45. Brian Holmes, Solid Waste Supervisor, Monterey.
Very back page, Franklin.
Oh.
Hello.
Good morning. I was a little surprised to see my name on the agenda for this week, since the second week of the month is usually my standard meeting time, but I'm here nonetheless.
Thank you.
Not a whole lot's happened in the last month as far as anything out of the ordinary. Everything is running the way it's supposed to be for the most part. Little repair work here and there. We did see an increase in trash over the last year by between 4% and 5%. Hopefully that's not a continuing trend, otherwise it's gonna get real busy. But that consists of about 180 trips to the landfill. We averaged about 26 tons per trip, which is a fair amount of trash to be hauling. That puts our truck about 100,000 pounds on the road. which is a treat when people pull out in front of you and turn in front of you without signaling and fun stuff like that. But that's the joys of driving a big semi trash. Other than that, that's about it. Everything's going well. Things are moving.
All
Hopefully,
right.
we only have about 60 more days of cold weather.
Right, yeah, this has been quite a long stretch.
But once you get past the first of the year, it's going to warm up eventually. So. Any questions?
Lakewood?
No, I don't know. Other than the forecast, I heard this morning, it's supposed to get some Arctic air coming in towards the end of the week again.
Yes, sir.
Craig Burns, I was curious where the primary location of the trash is.
For
Is there just one, is it just general trash that's clustered everywhere, or is there a specific location as per, you know, maybe the incoming tourists and boaters and recreationalists, or is it
most of it comes out of our city site. We have 5 locations around the county. Our district runs from the 101 road in the south to the north end of the county. We have a site at Raidersburg, one at Toston, one at Dry Gulch for the east side of the lake, one in the city, and one at Winston.
We were saying there's about a 5% increase in general trash. Are you just saying at the landfills, and you're not saying that in?
Broadwater County does not operate a landfill.
Okay.
We operate canister sites that everything is brought to our transfer station. And just total trash for the year, we saw an increase of 5% over the year before.
But it's consolidated trash,
It's-
not roadside trash, I guess is what we're trying to abandon trash.
It's solid waste. It's what people haul to our canister sites.
Okay.
Oh, we do have some openings on our solid waste board if anybody's interested.
Very good, thanks for the plug. John?
I had a piece of information given to me since the first year at a party, of all places. And I understand that the large trailers and modular or units that are being taken up to the county dump are being so far undercharged in comparison that the county charges $200 to dispose of the trailers. And on the 2 adjoining counties, $600 to $800 they charge. And I wonder why, this must cause you, in disposing of these trailers, if that's any fair price, you can't even dispose on it for what it costs. And especially now with the prices of metals and what have you, and adds more to the solid waste. Would you comment on that, please?
I will say we have openings on the solid waste board if you'd like to participate. you're
No,
more than
I
welcome
didn't.
to.
I didn't what I said. I asked you a direct question. Don't sidestep it.
That's an issue that the solid waste board deals with.
Well, can you answer the question?
The question is, we do charge $200 per mobile home for disposal.
That's right. And are you aware that Gallatin and,
Yes, I am, but I have nothing to do with their charges.
but.
If they want to charge more, that's their option. But they also don't get as many trailers to the gate because people will leave them in their fields to let the wind blow them around
All right.
and not get rid of them.
No, but.
I would rather have them bring them to us and let us put them in the landfill so they're not blowing around the county.
Well, will you investigate the difference of why there's a difference in
Certainly.
the cost?
If I can charge more, I will.
Would you make a report so that us citizens can get that information? Because it was kind of astounding when it was put upon me that.
We charge $50 a ton for disposal at the transfer station.
Well, we're talking about the trailers, that's what I'm interested in.
If there's 4 tons worth of waste in a trailer, I think you're lucky. I do charge more if they bring them in full of stuff, because I don't think that's fair. There's a lot of things I don't think are fair with the solid waste program in Broadway County.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair that cow and cattle operations can dump a pickup load of twine that weighs 3,000 pounds along with their household waste for $128 a year. I don't think that's fair, but I don't have a way to correct that, other than putting a man at each canister site, and then your fees would go through the roof. So we try to do the best with what we have to work with.
in your next time that you come before the commissions, would you obtain this information with some evaluation and justification of the difference in the prices?
Okay, John?
Each county can charge what they want to charge. We charge $50 a ton, and it roughly is about $200 for a unit for a mobile home. We get rid of maybe a half a dozen mobile homes a year. It's not that big a deal. I also don't charge a lot of people for what they bring to the transfer station because they're doing it right. You know, I have a hard time charging people that do it the right way, when they could haul it to a canister site and dump it, and we don't even know about it. So, there's a lot of things that we deal with.
Thank you, Brian. All right, thank you very
Yeah.
much. Happy New Year. Job
Happy
well
New Year
done.
to you.
Don't see a COS here. I do have some, to address the question asked earlier. And Franklin, I don't know if you got a copy of this memo from Corey. For a vacancy on the commission, that is covered by 216-502 MCA. And subsection 2 states a resignation is effective 72 hours after its submission in the manner provided for in subsection 1, unless it is withdrawn within that 72-hour period. So we will accept Elaine's letter of resignation, but it won't be official for 3 days. If there are 2 commissioners who are vacant from the commission, then the decision to fill that position actually goes to the county compensation board, which is made up of all elected officials and 3 members at large. In the case of just 1 vacancy, then it will be up to the 2 commissioners to agree on one of the candidates. And per 742106 MCA, vacancy on Board of County Commissioners, resigning member not to participate in filling the pending position. So Elaine will not be able to, she certainly can, as a citizen, give her opinion, but she won't be involved in that succession process. And because this is happening before March 1st, we will follow a process that this person will serve through until they will go through the primary election and the general election, and then we'll take their seat as it's a vacated seat immediately after the votes are certified, which is what Elaine and I both did in 2008. We started, I think, the 11th of November, or the 17th, somewhere in there. So, that'll be the process.
It doesn't just fill the term till the next general election, then a person is gonna run?
That's correct. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
And then, if the 2 can't agree as to who to choose, does the district judge appoint the,
No, it's a 1-1 commission. It's just the 2 of us, and
and
status
if you
quo.
can't decide, what happens?
Then it remains the same. We would be just a 2-person commission through to the election in November.
So like Lewis and Clark County was for about a year.
Okay.
So we will get through it, Bob, and Elaine's done far and beyond. So just thought you guys would want some updates on that. Any further questions on any of that? Okay. Franklin, I have a question for you on the filling the sheriff's part of this. We won't address commissioner yet since we have the 3 days by law that we have to wait. But for the sheriff, that is official now. We can put together a ad to run in the IR, the Three Forks Herald, and the Broadwater Reporter, since a lot of people who live on the northern and southern ends of the county use those other papers, the Three Forks Herald and the IR as their newspaper, and then make it through the deadline to submit letters of interest and resumes as the last day of January at 4 o'clock. And then we can go ahead and get started the first week of February.
That's pretty much what Corey had.
Corey suggested February 1st. I did ask him if he had a problem with us changing that to that Friday, as that's practice with all other applications. And I didn't hear that he had any problems with that, so I wanted to be sure and be clear with you on that.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, all right, then that, we'll get a draft done and email it to you before sending it off, and that'll go off this afternoon. Okay, When did you get my request for the job description? All right.
Yeah, I was
All
like,
right.
yeah, yeah, because it's not, you know, unfortunately, it's not set forth in statute very well. And,
No.
you know, there's a lot more to it than what statute says. You know, I think back in the day, it was kind of a, even when I got here in 2000, the job was a lot different than it is today. And so, yeah, if you give me kind of what you're looking at, then maybe I can try to fill in the blanks a little bit, but, there's a lot going on there. So, I was gonna, if you have a minute, I was gonna
Yeah.
tell you what I'm trying to do. One thing is trying to open up the communication, with the public. So I'm trying to get, Bobby Wade and I to have more frequent conversations about the interactions between the sheriff's office and what's going on in the community. Try to open that door so people see what we're actually doing. Second thing is, if you guys are okay with it, is trying to find funding through 901 to get a sheriff's office webpage started. I understand there's one for the county, but this one, it would actually have the jail roster, and we can put our warrants on there, most wanted folks on there. It's more self-driven towards the law enforcement aspect instead of the county, unfortunately. But I did talk to a gal, and Sheriff Van Setten out of Teton has gone with these folks, and he seems to be happy with them as well. So I'm looking at it. I was told that I could use 911 funds if that's possible. So trying to get through that, but I think that having a website that's sheriff's office based would also open the door so people could see on their own time what's going on in the sheriff's office and what's going on in their law enforcement as a whole. One of the things that's always been a pet peeve of mine in the 15 years I've been here is that there's really no communication between law enforcement and the community, and I'm trying to get people back into that. Did start mandatory patrol around the school this morning, and this afternoon that started effective zero tolerance between the start of school and then after school. The kids that think that it's necessary to spin their tires sideways around the intersections are probably going to have a bad day if one of the guys catches them. So I want to deter that bad behavior. I'm also trying to get a plan to go into the school and get law enforcement presence back, at least during the varsity games that are going on, and have some more involvement from our side of the house with the school and the students and the teachers. So trying to make some good changes, trying to take a good positive approach towards getting back to that word, community policing. And I think that right now the guys that are kind of filling in my command staff have really come up and stepped up and have helped me out. We have some pretty good conversations. So I guess the words transparency is gonna, I hate to use that word, but it's kind of where I'm trying to get the office to be, is I want people to understand who we are and what we do and why. And then have some areas where people can get that information without necessarily calling the office and having to do it that way. So I know having the jail roster in certain counties has limited their phone calls into their 911 centers by 70%. So if I can get that up and running, then people can just get on the webpage and look and see if their loved one's incarcerated versus calling the office, because it does tie up a lot of time. So trying to get things streamlined a little bit, trying to get things cleaned up. I cleaned a closet out on Friday and found things from many moons ago, and I was like, yeah, this just needs to go away. So trying to get everything done. So yeah, things are well. So just want to let you know what I'm doing and where I'm going with that. So
Thank you.
if you have any disagreements with me, let me know. So
I can't think of any. Can you, Franklin?
No,
All right. Yeah, just for that job description, for lack of a better term, just bullets, I think would be
Yeah.
fine.
yeah, search and rescue coroner.
Right, yeah,
So humane officer.
yeah, directing staff, HR, management, balancing the budget, reading spreadsheets, understanding spreadsheets, that kind of thing. Yeah.
A good understanding of the law helps too, so.
Oh, yeah, maybe that should be included, yeah.
Yeah, you know, the law, the Constitution of the state of Montana, one of the, you know, the federal Constitution, those are all kind of important things nowadays, so. And especially in management, the hardest thing, obviously our number one liability is our detention center. And that's, we focus a lot of effort on that, and that's something that, you know, those lawsuits start out at 5 million and go up, we all know that, so. I think that having a good understanding of what that environment is supposed to be, and with the new policies and everything else, I think we've come a long ways in how we run that facility, and I think that we haven't had a lot of issues, and we haven't had a lot of grievances, and so I think things are going very smoothly in that aspect. We've really pushed the envelope this year, and we've brought in quite a bit of money, housing other people's inmates, to the tune of, in November, $376,000. So we've really put a lot of effort into keeping it full and helping everybody else out, but also not straining our staff. And so we've done well. And I think that with the new detective slot, that's really helped out quite a bit. I am going to have a conversation with the Colonel of the Highway Patrol, because we don't seem to see our brothers in green and tan as much as I think we should. And so I did reach out to Colonel Butler and said, hey, we need to have a conversation. When I got here in 2000, we had 3 resident troopers. Now we have 0. You know, Marvin's here. He's a sergeant out of the Bozeman office, and that's where his duty station is. We don't have anybody that's assigned or living in the Broadwater County area to patrol Broadwater County District. And so I'd like to have that conversation with him to see if we can get something to work a little better. That I had stats pulled on how many crashes and traffic complaints and everything else that we had through 2015, and pretty significant. And I think that we just need to have some support. I don't know if it's just a communication thing or not, but Colonel Butler's always been real good to talk to when he comes to our MSPOA meetings, and he's always willing to help out. So I think just having a conversation and seeing what happened, I think we can get that, all the wheels back on the roadway and get where we need to go. So yeah, and then with Seth, he's been busy. It's taken a load off patrol division. Hopefully they can get out and start doing some things. I did change the mentality. Told them we're not out there to be patrol. You know, quite a few years ago, traffic was a huge issue, and so we spent a lot of time out there trying to reduce the amount of fatal crashes on our highway, and those traffic complaints and everything else. Now our crime has come up, and so now I've changed that to where these guys need to start really putting a lot of effort into their criminal investigations. Let's make these guys accountable. Let's put them in jail so they're not out victimizing folks in our community. And so it's been met with a little resistance, but they've provided better product for Corey and for the courts, and I think that we're seeing some gains in that aspect. Seth is only assigned to person-to-person crimes, the rape cases or the felony assaults. He's not doing property crimes, just doesn't have enough time for that. So with that, he's really doing a great job, and he's doing phenomenal. So thank you for the detective slot. It's been quite the asset. I'm also going to bring on 2 more part-time relief folks. One is retired Trooper Cal James, and the other one is going to be probably DC Metro retired Mark Wood, as to go out and do BOR and Forest Service. Right now we only have Andy Martin doing that, and Andy's in the Guard and being deployed and doing some other stuff. So I'm hoping to keep those funds available, put these guys out there to take up some of those BOR shifts and make sure we have that law enforcement presence around the lake at the campgrounds and everything else. So a few changes, but I think they're good, and monitoring what's going on. So yeah, that's about where the sheriff's office is at this juncture. So does that work?
You betcha.
Okay.
Thanks, Wynn.
I know it's not on the agenda, but you know, this is week 2 for me, and I think you guys need to know where I'm at and what I'm doing and where I plan on going. So it's not like no one knows what's going on over there. So okay.
Thank you. John?
Just to When a number of years ago before you came here, about the officers being in the school. The schools at their cafeteria at noon or whenever it falls for the officers that's available around, to go in there and just sit with the students and have lunch. Not say nothing, just be there. It gives them a feeling of difference of how they are, and the good ones act good or better, and the bad ones will shrink back and be quiet. You know how that
Well,
works.
and John, I agree with that. I think that getting out there and being seen in the community is a very important thing. We work for the people of this county, and a lot of folks don't know who we are.
Right.
And unless you're me standing down at RMS in the morning, opening the door for people as they come in for the morning coffee, you probably don't see too many other folks. So I want to get my staff back into the realm of being out there in the public, and so parents can say, hey, we won't call the cops if you misbehave.
Right.
And the kids will go, no, they're harmless anyways. So, you know, I think we gotta change the culture of the county, and I think we need to change the culture on how people perceive our law enforcement.
Right.
And we're not trigger happy, gun toting.
Well, there's another issue that a lot of the people don't understand. In our constitutional county, every officer is a peace officer, not a cop or not a policeman. And there is not enough advertisement, and even on our squad cars, for, you know, I am a peace officer.
What I used to say, protect and serve.
Well, that's different. A peace officer is covering the full terms, and I'd like to see that myself personally.
See what we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Craig?
Just on regards to the website, I'd like to just mention that, or I'd like to ask that these two companies are involved and not just one singular company, as well as remind you that updating the website is of the utmost importance in the process you're talking about, and that going from one regime, so to speak, to another can be very detrimental to that website, and so that it is spelled out to the programmers or whoever does that website that it is compatible for the next incoming sheriff or the next crew, and not just something that is just for this particular moment. I see a lot of the websites in the Townsend area that are not maintained anymore, which shows that there was budget put toward it, and then whoever was in charge of it lost interest, and because nobody else knows how to do it or doesn't have the access, the web page is left blank. And now they are that's the representation for the area, and it's blank. And so if you do take on something like that it has to have someone dedicated toward it. It can't just be something that is, yeah, we want a website. It has to be somebody in the department that says that's their duty to update the website. Otherwise, it's a waste of time and money for everybody to have websites added.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you, Wynn. We have COS reviews. Are you here for a certificate of survey?
I was supposed to meet a representative from Reese. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're here.
All right, gentlemen, come on up. Jim, I didn't see you come in.
Well, I'm in the dark a little bit on this one because you had picked this up from Bill, so I don't know exactly what we've got going here except for we need you to take a look at it and give us your approval on the filing. Jim, Bill said you knew more in terms of what was going on here.
It's a lot on Weasel Creek Road. It's 2.5 acres, and the proposal is to make a little over 1 acre lots.
Is this one person's property, he's just dividing it himself around
Yeah,
Boundary
it's
relocation?
mine. It's mine.
Oh, it is, okay. What's your last name, Jim?
McCabe.
All right, thanks. Okay, so you just want to divide your own property into 2 separate lots?
Well, I'm doing it with a family transfer, so my wife will have half and I'll have half.
Okay,
One lot and 1 lot each.
okay. Family transfers are absolutely legal. We just have a process where we ask people to come forward so that we're aware of what's going on. Franklin, you have any questions?
No. Quick claim deed, as you can see, is there, and all the supporting paperwork.
It's went through DEQ now, everything's been approved all the way along.
It has gone through DEQ, but I can't tell you exactly where it's at now in terms of.
Well, the process with DEQ, I didn't realize I could do a family transfer. So when I went to DEQ with a proposal for just a subdivision, they sent a denial for a couple little reasons. They said, you have to do this because it's not a family transfer. And so I found out it could be a family transfer, and there were 2 or 3 things I wouldn't have to do if it was a family transfer. So that's what I wanted to do, was the family transfer. They wanted me to do something with wells and water. I can't remember exactly what it was. There's some extra steps if you go through a full subdivision, as opposed to when I found out I could do a family transfer, I talked to Mrs. Brown and hired Bill Reese, my next door neighbor, to do it this way. So that's,
Yeah, we do quite a few family transfers. They're pretty much boilerplate. You don't have the 8x11 where we sign, do you, Jim?
Again,
I see
I
that.
was gonna pick this up, but you beat me to it actually
Oh.
last week, so, so the quick claim deed here. Nobody's got the 1117 here, I think just the Mylars maybe, I don't see anything
Okay.
here, so. Out of curiosity, we just have the larger size of those.
Okay, we can just ask Nicole to follow up with you guys on that sheet, just for our
Okay.
own records. It's nothing
Okay.
more than that.
Yeah.
So, you have anything else, Franklin?
No. Guess I don't.
Okay, how about a motion?
Okay. Motion to accept this family transfer of McCabe, is that right?
yes.
And we don't actually accept or, we just support, and it's just more informational for us. So I will second the motion with that friendly amendment. All those in favor of the motion to support the family transfer as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries.
Well,
Guys, ready
thank
to
you
go?
as usual for your time. Thank you, Joanne, or? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Thank you, you too.
All right, next, 11:15, Les Shipman, request refund for tax overpayment and decision. Gentlemen, come right on up. Good morning.
The reason why I'm here is because it's been determined that we hit a little too hard on property tax. And
Thanks, Doug.
before Doug can get it squared away, you guys have to review it and approve it. And I don't have all the particulars.
What happened was they, when the Department of Revenue put his information into their system, they added an extra 20 acres somehow. It should have been 40, or it should have been 20, and someone typed in 40.
Yeah, and another one where there was,
So,
it was over 100 acres altogether.
yeah, so I talked to June, in the Department of Revenue, and she said that, ballpark figure would be a refund of $395 for 2014 and $500 for 2015. Yeah, it's money that, it's acreage that he doesn't have. It was, I'm sure it's probably a input or a typo error on Department of Revenue's system.
So they pretty much acknowledge it was their mistake.
Yeah.
And to that, can you just share with everybody who's here why it would be that Mr. Shipman would be coming to us, to the county, for this refund instead of to Department of Revenue, since it was their error?
Well, the Department of Revenue, for one, will only go back 1 year, and this went on for 2 years. So I've kind of, normally they would do the 2015 Department of Revenue, which is send me a email telling me that the bill had been misbilled and corrected. But if it goes back more than 1 year, then it's up to the Board of Commissioners to approve or deny a refund. It's not something the treasurer can do, and Department of Revenue will only go back 1 year. And since this was done with the appraisal, their appraisals come out in June.
I'm not sure if you turned in an AB 26 this year. Did you protest your appraisal? So if it wasn't protested on this appraisal, then Department of Revenue really doesn't look at anything until the following year. He could still turn in an AB 26 and
Next year.
and protest it, but they would look at it only for 2016, not for 2015. But that jumbled up explanation satisfies you. If he doesn't, if a taxpayer doesn't turn in an AB 26 on their appraisal, then Department of Revenue won't adjust it until the following year.
And then a refund would be for that
2016.
following year, not for the past
Right,
year. Okay,
right.
all right. So the AB 26 is when somebody notices their appraisal is for 20 acres more than it should have been, then you go
Right.
through the process with Department of Revenue, and then they would have refunded that. But since this was found later, and you're requesting 2 years, then you come to the county, because the
Right.
Department of Revenue doesn't refund.
Sounds right
Is
to
that
me.
correct? All right. Just want to make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
All right, and the other thing, Doug, you mentioned these are ballpark figures from June. Can she not give us an exact, why
Not-
can't she give us an
not-
exact?
Well, because her system deals with assessments instead
Okay.
of the dollar amounts. So she will put the assessments in and she can roughly figure out what it would be, but it won't be, I would assume these amounts are gonna be very close to what the refund would be. But her system only deals with the assessment end of it. Once it's transferred over to my side of the office, then it's broken down into dollars and cents.
Okay, and June is with the Department of Revenue.
Right, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I should have said that too. Okay. So the $395 is the overpayment for 2014, and $500 is the overpayment for 2015,
Right.
based on this error.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Franklin, you have any further questions?
No, we go through this quite a bit where they made mistakes. So I would just move that we take care of this. And I'm going on what you said, the figure's gonna be pretty close to what's there, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Leave it at that.
Is that a motion?
That's my motion.
I will second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to refund Mr. Shipman ballpark of $895 for overpayment due to misassessment of his acreage by Department of Revenue in 2014 and 15. Do you accept that motion, Franklin?
Yes.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. There you go.
All right, ready?
Thanks, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Don't spend it all in one place.
If it don't go up in West.
All right, we will meet with Dana at 1:30 for a update on his department, which is the road department. Any further public comment before we recess for lunch? Yes, John?
Well, very similar to what the gentleman was just talking about, his taxes. I have some very similar things, like on my house, which has been inspected in the beginning, which is it's a trailer that was revamped many years ago, back in the late 70s, actually. And it's been evaluated now by the state at 350% over its valuation, and all I get is turned off every time I try to say. And is there now a legitimate tax board or for protest or appeals? Is there a legitimate full-fledged board now?
Yes, we have had a legitimate tax appeal board for many years. There's a process for you to follow, John.
Yes, and I followed it in the
All
past,
right.
and there was always something was wrong, it didn't have this or didn't have that. And as far as I'm concerned, I filed it one time and it goes on forever until it's responded to properly. But nevertheless, what is the commissioner's actual authority on intervening with the state as far as tax properties?
We do not intervene with the state. If
So
there's an
you
error, then
just-
we'll certainly address that. But no, we do not intervene with the state. We will work with them, and you can certainly give them a call at any time, and we will work with them. But that would be, we don't intervene.
Okay,
So
so what
with
you're
that-
saying is, you can deal with it, but you can't go over authority. Well, my consideration is your authority far exceeds theirs because of our county and its status.
Okay.
I'd
Thank
like
you,
to
John.
see something done along that, and should I bring it to you or to Doug? Because Doug just told me not 2 hours before we came in here, or an hour, that he can't address it because he doesn't have the authority to deal with the state. He
There
knows
is-
the problem.
Okay, there's law. We have to follow the law. We
Well,
follow
what
the
law is that?
Uh,
Is it state statutory law or is it our constitutional law of our county?
All right. Thank you, John. This meeting is
I
adjourned
don't
at
know.
1:30. Thank you.